In this video, we break down the hidden structure of the global economy, debt system, inflation, and how modern finance may actually resemble a massive pyramid scheme. If you're interested in financial freedom, economic collapse, investing, and understanding how money really works, make sure to watch until the end. What if I told you that the entire global economy runs on the same logic as a scam? That every dollar you save, every pension you contribute to, every mortgage you pay is part of a structure that can only survive if more people join beneath you, feeding money upward. That's not just a Ponzi scheme in some dark corner of finance, that's the operating system of the modern world. And here's the hard truth, the only reason it hasn't collapsed yet is because governments, banks, and central banks keep feeding it new recruits, new credit, and new illusions. The question is not whether the system will break. The question is who will be crushed when it does. To understand this, we need to start with what a pyramid scheme really is. It's not complicated. A pyramid scheme promises extraordinary returns, but instead of generating real value, it pays old investors with the money from new ones. Charles Ponzi in 1920 made the idea infamous when he promised investors a 50% return in just 90 days. At first, he paid them back with new investors' money, creating the illusion of success. People poured cash into his scheme, convinced it was safe. But the math was brutal. Every layer needed more people than the one before. Within months, it collapsed, leaving thousands bankrupt. Ponzi went to jail, but his name lives on. A pyramid scheme is unsustainable because it requires infinite growth in a finite world. Eventually, you run out of suckers. Now, here's the disturbing part. Strip away the legalities and the global economy runs on the same logic. Look around. Governments borrow trillions, not from real value they've created, but from future generations who haven't even been born yet. Corporations take on debt to fund stock buybacks, enriching shareholders while pushing the bill into the future. Households live on credit cards and mortgages, paying interest forever, while the principal barely moves. And the money itself, it's not backed by gold, silver, or anything tangible. It's created out of thin air every time a bank issues a loan. That's the part most people miss. The money in your pocket was never printed in the way you imagine. It was lent into existence. Under fractional reserve banking, when you deposit $1,000, your bank is only required to keep a small fraction, say 10% in reserve. The rest can be lent out. That loan becomes new money in the system, which can be deposited in another bank, which then keeps a fraction and lends the rest again. From your single thousand deposit, the system can spin out several thousand in new credit. On paper, everyone feels richer. In reality, it's just layers of claims stacked on top of each other like a pyramid. And it only works as long as confidence holds and people don't all demand their deposits at once. When that confidence cracks, you get bank runs, collapses, and emergency rescues, just like we saw in the Great Depression and again in 2008. This didn't happen overnight. It has a history. After the Second World War, the world rebuilt under the Bretton Woods system with the United States dollar tied to gold. That system collapsed in 1971 when Richard Nixon closed the gold window. From then on, the global economy was built entirely on fiat money, government-declared currency with no backing except faith. And faith is fragile. To keep the system alive, governments had to promise growth forever. Growth funded by debt, growth funded by inflation, growth funded by your labor. Sound familiar? That's a structure of a pyramid scheme. Imagine pensions and social security. They don't come from a magical vault of money you paid in. They come from the contributions of younger workers paying. Today, that's fine if the base of the pyramid keeps growing, but in countries with aging populations, Japan, Italy, even the United States, fewer young people are paying into a system that owes more and more to retirees. It's a demographic pyramid scheme, and the math doesn't work. Governments patch it up by borrowing more and printing more, but the hole only gets deeper. Or take the housing market. For decades, Prices have been justified not by what homes are worth, but by what new buyers are willing or forced to pay with borrowed money. Every boom feeds on new entrants at the bottom of the ladder, but when affordability collapses, as it is now, the base of the pyramid shrinks, the illusion cracks, and the wealth of millions evaporates. Even financial markets operate on the same logic. Stock valuations aren't driven only by earnings. They're driven by the expectation that someone else will buy higher tomorrow. Crypto, the very definition of a pyramid mindset. Early adopters get rich only if a flood of latecomers believe in the coin. But let's be clear, it's not just crypto. The entire financial system works this way. And when it starts to collapse, that's when the real pyramid master shows up, the central bank. In 2008, when the housing pyramid finally crumbled, the Federal Reserve and central banks worldwide printed trillions. They called it quantitative easing, but it was just pumping new money into the system to keep it alive. Old debts were paid with new money, losses were socialized while profits remained private. The pyramid didn't collapse, it was rebuilt bigger. And the cost was pushed on to you, the saver, the worker, the taxpayer, through inflation, through austerity, through the slow erosion of purchasing power. History shows this pattern clearly. The Great Depression of the 1930s, where speculative bubbles collapsed and millions lost everything. The Japanese asset bubble of the 1980s, where land in Tokyo was valued higher than all the land in California, until it all crashed into the last decade. Each case shows the same DNA, systems that required endless new money and endless new belief until reality hit. The unsettling truth is that we've normalized the pyramid. We call it growth, we call it stimulus, we call it the economy. But if the system can't survive without constant injections of new debt and new believers, then maybe it's not a foundation at all. Maybe it's a structure built on sand. And maybe you and I are standing at the bottom holding it up. Today, the pyramid is bigger than ever. Global debt is estimated at more than $300 trillion. That's 3 times larger than the entire world's annual economic output. Think about that for a second. The entire planet owes 3 years of its collective labor before we even break even. And yet politicians, economists, and central bankers all talk as if the only solution is more debt, more growth, more borrowing from the future to patch the holes of the present. It's like a Ponzi scheme that everyone knows about, but nobody dares to shut down, because the moment it stops, the whole structure comes crashing down. And this is why inflation hits so hard. Inflation is the quiet way the pyramid demands its sacrifice. Prices rise not just because of supply and demand, but because new money floods the system every time governments run deficits or central banks rescue markets. When money is created faster than real value, your wages, your savings, your pension all lose purchasing power. Inflation is not an accident. It's the built cost of keeping the pyramid alive. It's a system's way of saying we'll let it survive another year, but you, the ordinary citizen, will pay the bill. The demographic problem is even worse. Social security and pensions in the West depend on younger workers supporting older retirees. But birth rates are falling, life expectancy is rising, and the pyramid base is shrinking. In Japan, there are already more adult diapers sold than baby diapers. That's not just a demographic fact, that's an economic time bomb. The same is happening in Europe and increasingly the United States. The very structure of these retirement systems mirrors a pyramid. Money flows upward only as long as there are enough new contributors at the bottom. Without constant growth, the promise breaks, and the addiction to rescue keeps deepening. Every major crash of the last century shows the same response. Yet in the Great Depression brought the New Deal and fiat expansion. The 1970s oil shocks brought petrodollar recycling, funneling oil profits into US Treasury bonds to keep the machine running. The 2008 housing crash brought trillions in quantitative easing. The 2020 pandemic brought even more at a scale never seen before. In every case, the answer was never to reset the system. It was to double down, expand the pyramid, and push the reckoning further into the future. Meanwhile, the winners are always the same. Just like in a Ponzi scheme, those who get in early, who sit at the top, extract the most. Banks collect interest on money they created out of thin air. Corporations issue debt to buy back shares and boost stock prices for executives. Politicians promise benefits they know will be paid for by someone else later. And you, the saver, the worker, the latecomer, are left holding the bag. This is why the pyramid analogy matters, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. The global economy isn't collapsing yet because governments have tools Ponzi never had. The power to print money, enforce taxation, and wage wars to secure resources. But the structure is the same. It requires endless new money, endless new believers, endless expansion, and no pyramid can grow forever. So what's the lesson? First, stop believing the system is designed for your benefit. It isn't. The financial system is designed to protect itself, not you. Inflation, debt, bailouts, these are not flaws. They're features. They're how the pyramid sustains itself. Second, understand that real wealth is not found in promises of the system. Real wealth is in assets that survive outside of it. Skills, networks, tangible resources, diversified investments that don't vanish when faith collapses. And finally, remember that financial freedom doesn't come from waiting for governments to save you. It comes from learning how the system works so you can step out of its traps. The global economy may not legally be a pyramid scheme, but structurally it rhymes with one. It survives only as long as the base keeps feeding it. And if history has taught us anything, it's that when the base weakens, when the new money dries up, when the confidence breaks, the fall is brutal. History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes, and the rhyme here is clear. If you want to understand money, economics, inflation, and how to protect your wealth in a collapsing system, subscribe now and turn on notifications. New videos every week uncovering the hidden truths of finance, history, and power. History has the answers, and here at the Financial Historian, I'll show you where to